You're listening to Up the Turnpike with hosts Mitch Anderson and Matt O'Leary.
Hello and welcome to the Up the Turnpike post-game show. What's going on? Matt O'Leary hanging out with you, riding solo today as Mitch is out with the fam. He misses an Ilya Sorokin goal. Technically, we'll get to that at the empty net, but a lot of fun in this one. Lots of goals. 7-4, the New York Islanders win on a Saturday matinee game. We'll go through your comments as we go through this as well, but we got to get started in this first period because there's 3 goals to talk about in this first period, and pretty much right away it felt like 2:37 into it, JG Pageau gets the Islanders on the board. I thought the Pageau, Sorokin, and Hudson Fasching line was tremendous today. So let's take a look at this first goal from that unit. Pulock sends one wide. And a really nice play. Sorokin from underneath finds Pageau, who goes right to the front of the net, makes no mistake about it, puts it past UC Soros, and the Islanders are up 1-0 after that. Here, I'll zoom in. No, I'll leave it one more out. That'll work. So New York Islanders on the board 1-0. Feeling pretty good about that start. Islanders would then go to a power play later in that first period. And we saw Kyle Palmieri, who is also red hot right now, would score on the power play, his 19th of the year. Really nice play from Adam Boqvist to kind of set this up. Sends it over to Nelson, back to Boqvist, and then throws it on net. And Pageau is there for the rebound. Really nice. Again, really nice play. I thought it stood out from Boqvist. Coming over to the middle, setting it up for Brock to fall back, and then they go back to Boqvist. He gets the shot through, and what do you know? Puck's on net, creates a rebound. Kyle Palmieri's hot right now. He's been scoring goals by the bucket load, it feels like. So good to see that from him as the trade deadline inches that much closer. Gustav Nyquist of the Nashville Predators was held out of this game for trade reasons. He ends up getting dealt in game to the Minnesota Wild for a second-round pick in 2026. So maybe we will see some sort of similar compensation in a trade for our guy, Kyle Palmieri. Bo Horvat also nets his 20th of the year, this time with just 29 seconds left in this first frame here. We'll scroll it down so that we could see. Bad pass there, sets up over to Lee on net, and then boom, Horvat drives to the net and is able to put it behind UC Soros, who wasn't particularly good today. Not saying that it was all his fault or anything in this game, but bad turnover. Islanders capitalize. Lee on net. Horvat follows the shot, and the Islanders make it 3-0 after one period of play. Shots on goal, 19 for the New York Islanders, 3 for the Nashville Predators. It was about as dominant of a first period as you can honestly get. I thought they came out great. Usually on the matinee, especially at a 12:30 start time, that's early. They usually come out pretty flat, but it was really the exact opposite. They came out with all the momentum. They made Nashville pay and scored 3 goals. I thought it was impressive. Good first period, 3-0 Islanders. Although if you were at the game and didn't make it back in time to your seat for the start of the second period, you might have missed a flurry of scoring because there was a bunch of goals in the first couple of minutes here. Colton Sissons on kind of a breakaway and ends up scoring. This was interesting. D'Angelo couldn't handle it. Away he goes, kind of beats out Romanov and then tips one past Sorokin. He had, it was a nice speed on the play. Sorokin maybe could have came out a little bit further. He was kind of far back in his crease for this, didn't really challenge as much at this point, and gets beat. Nice play. I don't want to take anything away from Colton Sissons because it wasn't a really nice play on his end to get them back in this game. 3-1 and 3-0 is very different. Although the Islanders would get one back immediately. They take a penalty. I believe it was it Cizikas? Yeah, Cizikas took two in that second period. The first was a hooking, the second a tripping later on against Steven Stamkos. And Brock Nelson would score shorthanded from Simon Holmstrom. Really nice play from these two. They were showing some real chemistry shorthanded in this game. Nice play from Holmstrom. He comes in, and Brock Nelson, that wide open on his offhand, is going to one-time it in just about every single time. Really nice and easy there. Again, really nice play from Holmstrom to just be there, enter into the zone cleanly. Beautiful pass for Brock Nelson, and puts it in the back of the net. Simon Holmstrom lover, sorry, wrong comment. I wanted to pull this one up. Name fits the comment, says Holmstrom $8 trillion contract incoming. Listen, I hope it's not $8 trillion, but he is due a nice bump in production, in contract, I would say, because of the production that he's had so far this year. He picks up the assist on that one. Really nice play. Really nice play. So Islanders back with a 3-goal lead at 4-1. But just over 2 minutes later, Mark Del Gaizo, scores his first of his career. This one, just a screen in front, I thought really is what ended up doing it here. This little give and go action. I don't know if that was maybe Bo Horvat, who should have put a little bit more pressure on him as the forward, or maybe Adam Boquist, 34 here. If you watch him kind of just floating around, gets stuck in a little bit in no man's land. Maybe miscommunication there. Nonetheless, Nashville gets one back. So that 4-1 lead becomes a 4-2 lead. Brock Nelson would stay hot, though. He scores again in the second period, his second of the game. 2 goals in the second period here. And we could see this one get set up. Kyle Palmieri, Simon Holmstrom up top to Romanov. Romanov, nice pass to Brock Nelson, who hesitates. I mean, he has a ton of time. No reason to rush the shot. Kind of fumbled it a little bit on the pass from Alex Romanov, and Brock Nelson ends up putting it in the back of the net. You see right there, regains, boom, fires it right in with that good shot. And the Islanders have now a 5-2 lead after 2 periods of play. Shots not nearly that extreme for the period. In fact, Nashville had more. They had 11 to the Islanders 9. But still, Brock really took over in that period. I know it's not Brocktober. We've reached the March stage, but he has been very, very productive over his last few games. So obviously a couple goals in this one today. He has points now in 5 straight games. The last time he scored a goal was against Minnesota on a 2-point night, but you're looking at 2 points, 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, and then another 2 today. Did he pick up an assist on either of the? Oh, he did. So 3 point. How about in the last period? No. So a 3-point night instead for our guy Brock Nelson, which very, very busy week coming up for Brock Nelson potentially. We'll see what ends up happening there. But 5-2 after 2 periods of play. Let's get into the third period now. Casey Cizikas gets in on the fun. I mentioned this line before. I thought they played an excellent game. Hudson Fasching picks up, I believe it's his first point of the season. Nice play there. And Cizikas is there to finish up the work. I love it. Pucks on net. Again, that line was, I thought, really impressive today. They stood out as the Islanders' third line. I know Cizikas took a couple penalties, which isn't great, but fouls the shot, gets to go in the back of the net. I would imagine that Hudson Fasching stays in the lineup. He's been in for the last couple games. And like I've said, I think that line has played really well. So Isles go up 6-2 and start to let Nashville hang around. Cole Smith would net 2 goals back to back. There was a big gap in between and time-wise, essentially 13 minutes difference. But Cole Smith scores on this next one just in front. Really nice deflection. That wasn't the play here. You'll see it in a second. Romanov is down low, unable to tie him up, but enough for Cole Smith to get the deflection there and keep Nashville alive at 6-3. Game was certainly not over at that point. And then he would add another one to make it a 6-4 game with a minute 4 seconds left. Islanders caught in a change a little bit. You'll see as guys are going off. Horvat's coming off. Was that Nelson who was going off also maybe? I missed it, but more of the story. No, it was Pajot going off. It ends up in the back of the net. So really it's like a 3-on-2 situation. Holmstrom tries to get back into the play. Not enough time. Islanders caught in a change. And that becomes a 6-4 game now for the New York Islanders. But we got to talk about it. Ilya Sorokin scores in this game. Technically, empty net situation. Sorokin comes up with a big save, fumble at the blue line, and here we go. So we'll see it get set up right now. Over to Stamkos, shot on goal, saved. They try to, oh no, that was the save rather. Stamkos throws it out to Brady Shea. He misses it. It ends up trickling down for a goal. So Ilya Sorokin, first career NHL goal, a goalie goal technically, right? Because he's the last one to touch it there. And just caps off a funny, entertaining game. 7-4, I wouldn't say it was necessarily a clean Islanders win. I would say they were in control for most of this game, but let Nashville hang around in this one. So 7-4 is your final. I wanted to look at the shot total, 36 for the Islanders. Nashville ends up with 27 as the Preds would score 4 goals on 27 shots. So we'll get into save percentage here in a little bit, but just closing out, we'll go game stats, we'll go box scores, and then we'll do maybe 10 minutes or so answering your comments and your questions. Shots on goal, 36-27. Islanders better in the faceoff dot, 56.9%. 25% on the power play for the Islanders, 1 for 4. They also scored on the penalty kill, so the Preds were 0 for 3 on the PK, on the power play, and let in a shorthanded opportunity. 8 penalty minutes to 6. Nashville with more hits. 18-10, block shots 13-7, giveaways 10-9, takeaways 4 for the Predators, 3 for the Islanders. I would think Brock Nelson probably has the most amount of ice time. So usually at this point, we'll do our ice time game. For my guesses, I'm going to say most is Brock Nelson, least is Gatcomb. On defense, most will be Dobson, and least will be Boquist. All right, so let's see how I did here. Time on ice for the New York Islanders. It was Brock Nelson at 20 minutes and 4 seconds. Simon Holmstrom up there again, though, 20 minutes and 2 seconds with 2 assists on the night or on the afternoon. 2 assists, 20 minutes of play. He was the ice time leader for the Islanders on Thursday night, so something to watch as Holmstrom continues to get more ice time here. Least was Pierre Engvall. Engvall played 9:39. Gatcomb had 11:15, so I was off on that one. Time on ice, Noah Dobson led the way, 24 minutes, 48 seconds, and least was Adam Boquist at 14:48. So can't really say I'm all too surprised on that one. Sorokin stopped 23 of 27, 4 goals against, 852 save percentage. Not necessarily his best game after a strong performance on Thursday night. Comes back to earth a little bit, and we will take a sip of water and get into your questions and comments. All right. So Ben really wanted the Islanders not to win this game, and I don't think it's because he's not an Islanders fan. I think he's worried about what could potentially come next, which is extensions to Brock Nelson, 8 by 4 and 6.5 by 6. So I'm guessing 4 years, $8 million for Brock, and 6 years, 6.5 for Palmieri. I don't want to do either of those. I know that Ben doesn't want to do either of those either. But this is a storyline that we've been talking about for months, and it's reaching its boiling point this week. Now, the Islanders do have a couple of games before we get to the trade deadline. So they play next on Tuesday? Let me see here. Scroll it on down. They play on Monday against the Rangers, Tuesday against Winnipeg, and then they don't play until the 8th. So they have 2 more games before, Monday and Tuesday before the trade deadline. They have a little bit of a break before, the 7th is the deadline? Yeah, and then they play again on Saturday. Decisions will have to be made. We'll see how they do against the Rangers, who they just got demolished by, and Winnipeg. Their win streak finally stops at 11, but one of the best teams in the NHL this year. So 2 tough games coming up for the Islanders in that one. Andre says Minnesota acquired Nyquist, probably out on Nelson. Don't think Lou is moving him. I hope not. I hope that Lou still moves him, because you see what, the trades that have been made so far. I do think it's a seller's market, and I would rather cash in on the Islanders tickets to get out of this rather than, I was going to say double down, but it's been longer than a double down, quadruple down on this team. I think there needs to be some turnover. So I would actively look to trade Brock Nelson still. Winnipeg is a team that makes sense. I think you can maybe make the case Detroit after some of their injuries that they've had. So we'll see on that one. But Simon Holmstrom lover, I love this one. Palmieri to the Jets for Iafallo and a first. I don't know if he yields a first. I was thinking probably a 2nd round pick this year with how he's played, but he's been hot recently. So if someone's willing to give up a 1st round pick for him, why not? Mercy says, okay, we beat a crappy team, so what is loser going to do? It should not change anyone's perspective on what this team should be doing in 6 days. The Islanders should be trading off pieces in the next 6 days. Does he actually do that or not is to be determined. Mitch and I will be live here on the YouTube channel on trade deadline day with our reactions. So we will rip him if he doesn't trade people. He will get criticized fairly and justly for that. And hopefully he moves some players and we get to react to what some of the terms are on these. The Wicked 50 Cal says, absolute nightmare fuel today. Lou is going to think that this team is going to go on a run, and Minnesota gets Nyquist, could take them out for Nelson. So frustrating all around. Minnesota, maybe they are out of the Brock Nelson sweepstakes for in trade. I mentioned a couple other teams that I think could make sense. I know Dallas already made a trade so far, but I mean, he would be perfect there. Winnipeg, Detroit. Apparently Washington's checked in on him. I don't know if they would trade him in division, but we'll see. Atlas says anyone who scored today, not named Horvat or Sorokin, should be traded immediately. So we are talking about Kyle Palmieri, Brock Nelson, and JG Pageau. I would hope that at least 2 of the 3 are traded. Pageau, I think that there was clearly interest, because a year ago, if memory serves correct, Lou got some calls on JG Pageau, but I don't know. I'm thinking maybe that's an off-season trade for Pageau. He has 1 more year left. Same thing with Anders Lee. Anders Lee has 1 more year left on his deal after this one. So, maybe teams would be looking to acquire guys like that at that point rather than in season. But yeah, I would take calls on pretty much everyone not named Bo Horvat, Matthew Barzal, Ilya Sorokin, Alex Romanov is my group, probably. And we'll see what happens with Dobson. We'll see what happens with, Pageau, Palmieri, Lee, Nelson, and the rest of the crew after that. Alan saying that's sad that Stamkos is ending his career with the shitty Nashville team. Yeah, they were better than people expected a year ago, and Barry Trotz, who is their GM now, was more aggressive this offseason, and the moves have not worked. They brought in Brady Shea, Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault, and it just has not worked for them in the least, honestly. Marchessault was on for 4 goals against today. Woof. Not very good. Not productive, unfortunately. Orbicon with an interesting one. Last time an Islander goalie scored a goal, we won the cup. I don't think that's going to happen this year. Unfortunately, I would love it. Andre says there's strong interest in Pajot now. I would really think so. I would not be surprised at all if teams were interested in JG Pajot. He's the kind of player that teams who are looking to go on a run look for. Depth player, can score goals, elite face-off guy, very good on the penalty kill, very good playoff performer. I would not be shocked at all if there's a market for JG Pajot, honestly. 50 Cal's back with another question. Says, has Cole Eisman been playing recently? Haven't had a chance to see any of his recent games, but I haven't heard anything from his games. Yeah, I think he's been a little bit cold recently. We can look up his numbers now. I think he has been relatively cold. But we'll give you his numbers. Still 24 points, 31 games played, 16 goals on the season. Assist numbers really not all that high right now. But he's been quiet for his standards for where he has been for most of this year. Gary says, how long before we can re-up Engvall? This is year 2 of a 7-year deal. So in another 5 years, who knows? Maybe the Islanders will be looking to re-sign Pierre Engvall. I don't think so. I don't think he sees the end of that contract with the New York Islanders. We get 50 Cal saying the only worse than the NHL Islanders are the AHL Islanders. I don't think they would be that bad this year. I thought with some imports this year, they would be playing better than this. AHL Islanders are atrocious. They are a horrific hockey team, one of the worst teams in the AHL. I thought the Islanders would be playing better than this. Not by a ton. I wasn't going to say like they're an amazing elite team, but I thought they'd be a little bit higher up than where they are right now. Wanted to say if we got any Patrick Waugh quotes. Stefan Rosner says Sorokin didn't have a celebration plan, never scored a goal in Russia. He knew he was the last one to touch it, did get the puck, and it has already been labeled. Good for that. Love that. Here, I should click on Rosner because he's there covering it. We'll see if there's anything else from this. Yeah, Billy Smith has company. Ilya Sorokin joins the second Isles goalie to be credited with a goal. It's very rare to see a goalie goal. So now you have 2. Billy Smith, Ilya Sorokin. See if Andrew, it would help if I could spell. Andrew Gross has anything post-game. Asked Patrick Waugh about Duclair, and he said he expected more from Duclair both offensively and defensively. It's been a really tough season for Anthony Duclair so far this year. I think injuries played a huge factor in his season. I thought he had an okay first period. He was noticeable, but I would say they definitely needed more. Patrick Waugh said it was on his bucket list to score a goal. Never got one. He did hit a post, though. Fair enough. Would have been cool. All right, we got another comment in here or 2. We got time for a few more. Mercy says, I still say go for Jordan Kyrou and a second round pick. I like Jordan Kyrou a lot. If this is part of the retooling process in like you are moving guys out and also trying to acquire talent, I think Jordan Kyrou would fit really well on the Islanders top line. Assuming you trade Brock Nelson, you might have to move Matthew Barzal back to center, but Barzal up top with Kyrou as your part of your first pair, with Horvat and Lee probably on your second line. Looks pretty good. I like Jordan Kyrou. Wicked 50 Cows talking some trades with the Winnipeg Jets. If they do trade Nelson, would love to get Brad Lambert back as a part of that package. That's someone we talked about. I could pull up his numbers from this year. He hasn't been phenomenal. But still, he was 30th overall pick. Yep, in 2022. In the AHL, 25 points in 41 games. He was much better in the AHL a year ago with 21 goals and 55 points in 64 games. Maybe he's a change of scenery guy. Finished product, right-handed shot, 21 years old, good height at 6'1". Daniel says, I don't care if the owner is crazy and wins end up being bad for the long-term success of the team. Rooting for your team to lose is the definition of no fun, and it's in bad taste. Fair enough. I'm not necessarily rooting for the Islanders to lose games. I just don't want them to continue to buy in with this roster. I think they need to make changes. So however I'm not going nuts over wins. I'm not going nuts over losses at this point. I've been kind of numb to this Islanders team so far this year. Maybe. Atlas says, does the Minnesota trade today signal that they're signing Nelson in the offseason, so there's no need to lose assets? Could be. That could be part of it. If he does hit free agency, Brock Nelson, that is, I would absolutely expect the Minnesota Wild to be in on him, and they would probably be the favorites to land him, would be my guess. Good one from Andre. I think this is where we leave it for today. It says, Nashville's classic example of why you don't sign guys in their 30s to long-term deals. Don't care how good he is. It has not worked out for any of their deals so far in Nashville, and I don't see it getting better, unfortunately, for them. Barry Trotz's already making some moves to shake things up for his team. But that'll do it for me in this one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We got a podcast coming out tomorrow on Patreon. And then on Monday, we got another post game on the channel. Tuesday, post game on the channel. Pod Wednesday on Patreon. And Friday, live stream for the trade deadline. So that'll do it. I'm Matt, and I'll catch you next time.